Hi, today I'm going to demonstrate current progress on VolumeDesk, which is a volume rendering program. This is the kind of program you use to turn three-dimensional data into rendered surfaces for display. It's the sort of thing you might use for geological data to turn strata into viewable surfaces, or in medical imaging. Perhaps the output would be, the input to this would be data from an MRI scanner or CT scanner. I'm going to go ahead and right away I'm going to load up a demo that we have here. This is the skull demo. This is MRI data consisting of 113 files of raw MRI data. And as you can see, what's appeared on the screen is Bob's head. I'm not sure if Bob is his name, but that's what I'll call him for the purpose of this demo. And as you can see, we can view Bob's skull, and a very lovely skull it is. We've got some artifacts here around his teeth, which I believe are caused by interference of the metal in his fillings with the MRI scan, which is a magnetic field imaging system. Okay, so this is all fine and great. As you can see, you can rotate this. You can have a good look at Bob's skull from a number of different views. You can zoom in for a closer look at some of the detail here. Press the reset button to drop it back to how it was. At the moment, there's only one lighting setup available in this, but that's feature to be added. So this is great, but now let's say we wanted to see what Bob actually looked like in real life, because we wouldn't be able to recognize him from his skull. So to do that, what we can do is we can pick out a different threshold and say, well, actually we want to see what his skin. Let's see his skin. So to do that, we change the threshold, and in this case, a threshold of 800 gives you a different clipping for what is solid. And so now we're looking at Bob, and a fine, handsome chap he is. So moving on to the next feature here. So what we can do is we can have some transparency. So I can set this to the opacity to a lower level. If I go for 4, we can now take a look at Bob on the inside. This is all good, all well and good. We can maybe zoom in on that and have a look again at some of the features inside his nasal passages, his hearing canal, and we can go a step further than this, because what we can now do is we can say, well, that's great, but let's go back to his skull. So for that, we'll go back to fully opaque, and we'll set the threshold back to his skull. And now on top of this, what we're going to do is we are going to add another layer. So we go to the menu on the left hand side, click on the object and add a layer. And the default color it's assigned it is pretty horrible. So let's go with something that's a little bit more flesh toned. And let's set the threshold back to that 800, which we know works well for the skin. And there we are, we have Bob back. Okay, it's not great flesh tone, but we'll leave it there for now because we're going to make it transparent as well. And for that, we'll go to 0.4 again, and there we go. So now we've got the skin being rendered around the bone. But one of the challenges here is that as you rotate this object, from a programming perspective, what you have to do is you have to depth sort the primitives so that you're always drawing the ones furthest away before you draw the nearer ones. And that means that every time we go through one of the, we change the axis on which, the main axis on which we're viewing this, we have to completely depth sort all of the primitives that are going through here. So you'll see a slight judder as it goes through the different corners, and it's pretty good. There's a little bit of room for improvement in terms of performance, but this is the current state of play. So on top of this, we can do some clipping. So this is great if you want to peer inside Bob's skull. I happen to know that Bob's spine is aligned on the Z-axis here, so if I clip the top of his skull by entering 40 in the Z-clip, the low point on the Z-clip, I can peer inside Bob's head, which is pretty cool. I think you'll agree. I can also say, well, this is great, but now what I'd really like to see is just one slice here, or just something that looks like one slice. So to do that, I can add in a high clip on the Z, and I'll pick 45 or 44, 45 will do. And that is what we're left with, which is pretty much a view of Bob's nasal passages, which we can inspect in slightly more detail here. And there you go, that's the end of the demo for now. Thank you for listening and watching.